So if you have noise at the background, I would like you to mute your system from your end, or I can mute it from my end. But so welcome to. I actually have been looking forward to this class. I'm so excited that's going to happen. It's really interesting. We had a very interesting class yesterday. It was, was very interesting. We had several discussion yesterday, and I'm really so excited about what we're going to be talking about today. So for those who are really joining us for the first time, I'd like to I'll just run us through the objective of the class, and today we're going to be talking about the principles of productivity. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And our objectives are, like, what we try to do in this class is to just show you principles that affect you daily and presents also the principle that makes life worth pursuing by making complex ideas simple to achieve purpose. And as sometimes we are into, I don't know how to do this thing, I don't know how to do that thing, and we tend to think that life is like magic. That how are some people really being successful in life, and some of us are being stuck into one position. So that's one of the objectives of this class, to learn principles that make people successful, and also to help us make the best use of our day in a productive way, because your day plays a lot of role in what's going to happen to you at the end of your journey, and to help you and show you how to follow the paths and make your dream and future reality. Now today I'm going to talk about this, the third session. We're having the third session today, which is the principles of productivity. Now, because we had the same session for morning and evening yesterday, the last session for today, which is going to be the US, United States 5:30 time zone, I'm going to be talking about conquering your day. That was what we're supposed to talk about yesterday evening, but we couldn't do it because we had a very like broad evening yesterday, having so many conversation about things we are learning, which is very interesting. So tonight I'm going to be talking about conquering your day. But this morning I will talk about the principles of productivity. Now, you're just gonna this is just an agenda in a nutshell. The key to life. Who are you? And specification, capacity, and productivity. That's what we're gonna focus on. And for those who are joining us for the first time, we're just being part of this class. Our vision is to influence a change across the landscape by breathing fresh air into the system. When we say fresh air, what we mean is to impart knowledge that transform individuals and organization. Now, because like my friend would say, we've learned so many wrong things, and we've been living in error. But now it's a time for us, you know, breathing in a fresh air to learn something new that will really actually catapult us to where we're supposed to be in life. And our focus on institutions, governments, businesses, and families to help them, materialize their goals. And our own goal is to impact over 250,000 people within 10 years. And it's possible, it's principle. And that's why we're learning things we're learning. How do we move from two people to three people to four, and then to 10,000, and to, and until we get into where we go, our goals is focused on. Now I'm going to start by, this morning I'll share with you what I call the principle of productivity. Now, the principle of productivity starts with the understanding of the basic function of what you have that can get you what you want. Maximizing result is not magic. It is achievable when you utilize available resources. You create plans that produce the best outcome through discipline. I'll share with you how the results you get in life is driven by what you do each day, just as the things you do daily is driven by your mindset. So your productive life cannot exceed your beliefs. Therefore, what you believe is what drives your activities, and your activities is a process of your productive life. I want to reemphasize this, that the key to life is productivity. That's the key to life. And we talked about this principle yesterday. I mentioned in the previous lesson that what will transform you is from inside of you, not outside, not the government, not the politician. You are the embodiment of the change that you desire. You carry that potential to transform your life. So the principle that govern your day also govern your life. What this means is to understand and create successful habits that become your pattern to trigger excellence and produce life, the desire, the what exactly you desire in life. You have to create that habits. You have to understand that pattern, and you have to, set that in motion for yourself. If you can master the concepts that give you result daily, you are guaranteed a productive life. It's a concept, it's a principle, it's a pattern. If you understand how it works, then you will be able to work it, and then you will be guaranteed a successful life. Now, before you can maximize your potential to be productive in all areas, you have to acquaint yourself with how you function as a person. You got to ask yourself, how do I function as a person? One of the conversation we brought up yesterday was a lot of us don't understand how we function. And because we don't understand how we function, there's always an issue about what's going on with us. So the future you have that are available to enhance the kind of result you desire, you need to know those things. Two things are essential to get the results you want. The first is the knowledge of who you are, with the capacity that is within you. And secondly, are the principles that you operate daily. First of all, you need to know the knowledge of who you are. You need to understand exactly what's your modification? How are you made? What's your design? How do you function? When you have that understanding, you understand your capacity. Then you now also go to the second thing to understand principles. How does principle work in your life? So this fundamentals is where you focus your expectation on. Now, because you know your futures and you know your capacity, and then at the same time, you know the principles, then that will tell you what's the end. What should you be expecting as a productive life, as a successful life? What you want in life is from who you need to become. It's not something you're going to go somewhere to get. Now, if you want to occupy a certain position in life, I want us to pay attention to this. Or you desire some level of wealth in life, or whether you're, looking to become somebody great or exercise some certain authority, or you want to become relevant in the society, all these will emerge when you become that person that can produce that level of results. I'm going to say it again. You want to become somebody great in life. You want to attain some height in life. You want to accomplish something in life. You want to create wealth in life. You want to be successful. You want to exercise authority. All those things will happen when you become that person that can produce at that level. So it's not as if the position is standing somewhere and they're just going to throw you in. No, you're going to grow into it as a person. You're going to grow in your level of productivity. You're going to grow in the level of knowledge. You're going to grow in the level of mental capacity to handle that position, that wealth, that success. It's not going to happen overnight. You have to learn how to grow yourself into it. It's a kind of a rank and structure. So think about that very well. Therefore, I don't want you see, if when you understand who you are, you understand your functionality, then you got to understand, am I designed to be a follower or am I designed to be a leader? My admonition to you is, don't try to be a follower when you have the capacity to be a leader. What that happens is there's going to be a vacuum in the society because a leader is missing, because you didn't understand your role in the society. You are being a follower when your capacity is to be a leader. So don't be a follower when you have the capacity to lead. Also, don't be a spectator when you can become the champion. Do not live an average life when you have the seed of greatness inside of you. Don't follow the path of failure when you have the capacity to become great in life. You know, don't live a shadow life when you can really become the force to be reckoned with. All those things, it's what happened to people when they don't understand how they function. They don't understand the capacity that is in them, and they cannot produce to the maximum effect. So I want you to pay attention, because we're going to be talking much more. I'm going to be emphasizing on these three things: specification, capacity, or I can also say capability. Capacity or capability, or I'm also going to be talking about productivity. That's what I'm going to be laying emphasis on. So the principles that governs your day governs your life. Know exactly how do you operate each day, because your day is supposed to reflect the picture of your future. But even a day, you can understand how organized you are. You can understand how you're moving in life. There's going to be an issue. If you cannot survive a day, the future is not guaranteed. So I'm going to move to the next slide. Now, who are you? It's a question I'm just pushing out to you today. Who are you? When I say who are you, my question is, do you know your specification? Do you know your futures? Do you know your capabilities? Do you know how you are made? Do you know your design? Do you know how God designed you? Do you know what functions are in you? Do you know the things that you can achieve? Do you know all those things? And then when you know the futures that in you, do you know what it's the potential that futures carry? So function, it's very important. It's what drives specification, capabilities, and productivity. The way you are fashioned cannot be undermined when you want to become productive. You have to know how you're fashioned. You can't just say, well, it doesn't really matter. No, it does matter. This is the first thing you need to understand. How are you made to function as a person? All this is based on the design of your specification. Many continue to perform averagely because they did not discover where their potential can be maximized. Everything is not made for you. Every field is not your field. Not everybody can excel in every area. Your futures are the factors that help you to know what are the ranges of your potential to perform at a higher level. What you do every time you want to do something, the first thing to do is to think about what is your specification. Do I have the futures to do those things? Am I really given that ability to perform at that level? So you have to ask yourself that question. Now, I want us to understand this, that nothing functions well outside its specification. If you want to try to make something to work outside its specification, that's what leads to abuse. You can't function outside your specification. That's what's going to lead to abuse. When you know your specification, your design, you know your why. You will be able to answer the question of purpose. If you know your specification, you will know your why. You will know what your purpose is. If you get to a place where you want to buy a car and they tell you this car is made to drive both in on-road and off-road, when they begin to tell you the specification of the vehicle, you know what this purpose of this vehicle is being designed for. But if you get to a place where you want to buy a car and nobody is able to tell you how the car, what the features of the car is, you will not be able to figure out what it's, you know it's a car, I can drive it, but you will not be able to maximize the capability of that car, the capacity of that car. So the same thing for us as human beings. If you understand your futures, you will know your why. You will know your why is, why am I here on earth? What is my function here? What am I supposed to accomplish as a person? And that's the question of purpose. And I will tell you that what you want in life is what will make you fulfill what you're designed for. I'll tell you again, what you want in life is what will make you fulfill what you're designed for. Your specification explains your purpose. It tells you why you are designed the way you are designed. It tells you why you can do the things you are able to do. Now, I made a statement that whatever I cannot create, whatever I cannot build, whatever I cannot make, if I cannot produce something, that thing is not part of my futures because I'm not designed to do it. Remember, you cannot function in every field. You cannot function in every area. You need to understand your area. Why are we emphasizing on this? We're talking about productivity. You can produce, you can maximize your potential in an area that's you don't have the futures for. And I'm going to show us this. Now, when I'm talking about the difference between the futures and capability is this. I'll give you an example. The brain of human has the unlimited capability. Our brain, a human brain has an unlimited capability. Once the brain can receive an information, it can process it, it can do it. But the body of human being is the future is restricted. The features of our body is limited. There are things that is not in our body that we cannot do with the body. There are some things that, like human being is not, the features to fly is not a human being. Or we can maneuver ourselves in the water, but how long can we stay in the water? But when it comes to how the brain is designed, the brain has the capability to continue to process as many things as you know you continue to put inside. So the brain of human being is much more versatile, more functional than computer systems. But human being has not been able to dig deep into that level. I want to talk about capability. Now, productivity in life is unlikely until a function is well understood. Until you realize your purpose, you cannot be fully productive. When you identify and embrace your purpose, that's the only way you can bring the best out of you. If you know how it works, you can work it. If you know how it works, you can work it. I'm talking about yourself. If you know what the futures that you have as a person, if you know the things that are in you as a person, and then you will know how to, maneuver yourself to produce the result. But a lot of time we don't understand what exactly how things function in us. We don't understand how we are made. We don't understand what kind of qualities that God has placed in us. We just know we are human beings. Yeah, we're fine, we're human beings. But we don't understand the design of you being human being. What are the things that it's in you? What are the things? How are you made to function? Are you made to function? Is your brain like a kind of an encyclopedia? It's your brain like an engineering brain? You need to know what are the functions in you, what are the futures in you that will help you to maximize the capabilities and then also to maximize your productivity. And here again, I try to emphasize specification is what brings function and purpose into reality. Now let's talk about capacity. What is your capacity to create the future that you want in life? Now, once you understand your futures, then you ask yourself the question of now I know exactly how I'm designed. I know exactly what how I can function. But now that I know how I can function, but then what is that capacity that is built in this future that I understand? In my specification, what is the capacity that is built in my specification? So let's say you bring two vehicles now side by side. You have one truck and you have one sport car. And then once they tell you, oh, this is a sport car, this is how the sport car is being built. This sport car will be able to do 300 miles per hour. This sport car can do this. It can, speed from 0 in 1 second to 100 miles per hour in 15 seconds. And they said this truck, it can only, speed about 100 miles per hour. And then this and this. So when you understand the futures, then you come to the place of, okay, now that I understand the futures, what is the capacity? How far can I drive this thing? How far can I push myself? What is my unlimited potential? What is my unlimited potential? What can I generate? Now that I understand my futures, what can I generate? Now that I know that my future is my body, it's like it's a limited future. But my brain, it's like capacity is unlimited. Now, how do I use my brain, to maximize what my body can carry? Because your brain is not limited in the ability to function, but your body is limited. So your body is your specification, but your brain is not limited. So I want you to ask yourself now. Once you understand your specification, you now go to the place of the question of the capacity. What's my capacity to function? So on the other hand, your capabilities are things you have the potential to perform. The things your capability can, you cannot. Now I want us to understand you cannot stretch beyond the limit of your specification. That's you got to understand that. Now, if you are built in a certain way to function in a certain way, your potential and your capability cannot exceed that specification. Why do I say that? Now, let's say what your brain can produce is unlimited. Your brain can think towards any dimension, bring ideas, and do everything. That brain is not limited in that capacity. But once the body drops dead, the brain is done. The brain is done. Once the car is being built, the car can speed, can do anything, but it has a lot of capacity. But the future of that car is what drives how much that thing will be able to do. Even though it has the capability to speed, but once the engine is knocked and everything, that capability to speed and everything is done. It's done with. So it's important to understand no matter how much you want to stretch your capability, you also need to see that it's so in relation with your specification. So don't use yourself to do things in which your future is not made for, because when you destroy that future, which is your specification, your design, then your capability is just, it's going to be useless. We have to understand that it's going to be useless. If let's give a very simple example. Let's say somebody say, now I'm designed to be a soccer player. And being a soccer player, you have the skills in you. You can do anything when you have the football, you can do anything on the field. But even though you're a soccer player, there is something, there is something that is very specific that design you to make you that soccer player. We know the skills. The skills is like the capacity because it's not limited. That's the skill. The skill is not limited. You can extend the skill to however you want to go to. But then the design, the leg that you are using and other stuff that you are using to play that game, once that future is damaged, then the skill is irrelevant. Once that future is damaged, the skill is irrelevant. So I want you to understand that. Now I'm going to talk about what exactly do you think comprises of your capacity. It's three things: your mental ability, knowledge, and your potential ability to perform. Those are the three things that entails in your capability as a person. Your mental ability is your creative thinking and your idea formation, your analytical thinking and decision making prowess. Those are the things that it's in your mental ability. This is part of your capability as a person. How far can you stretch your own mental ability? How far can you go in your power of analytical thinking? How far can you go in making right decision? That's one of the things in your mental ability, and it's part of your own capability as a person. Now, the second thing is knowledge. You have to understand how much knowledge can you acquire at a point in time will determine how far you can stretch your own capacity as a person. The knowledge you have, I taught a series on what you know makes the entire difference in your life. What you know makes a whole lot of difference. So think about it. What you know is what drives how your capacity functions. There is no how, even that the capacity, your potential is unlimited, but the knowledge you have will determine how far you can stretch that capacity. It's one of the building blocks of your capabilities, your knowledge. And then the third one is your potential ability to perform. Your potential is your assets. And every time you think potential, think in terms of seed. Because seed is just like you can't count, you know, the number of fruits that a seed can produce at a point in time. Just know inside the seed, there's a lot of potential inside the seed, and the seed will continue to generate. So you carry a lot of potential, but you have to understand, you have to be able to challenge this potential that is inside of you to be able to perform at a higher level. So three things are part of your capability: your mental ability, your knowledge, and your potential. Now, those three things are what really build your capacity. So if I said, wherever status you are right now, let's say in your office you're managing 100 people, or let's say in your businesses, now you're going to the profit of about $10,000 in your business or something. Now I'm going to ask you, if I give you a business of $1 million, the question I'm going to ask you, do you have the capacity to function at that level? If you're a leader of 500 people, do you have the capacity to function as a leader of 10,000 people? Now, when I'm talking about capacity, it's not that you cannot lead 10,000 people because you have been leading 500. It's not that you can't lead 10,000. It's not that you cannot lead, you cannot, lead or be a CEO of a company that is generating $10 million. It's not that. But if you have not been able to build your capacity to that level, you may not be able to function there. So when you say, okay, we want to upgrade you, now you have a business of $10,000, you want to jump into $1 million, you have to build your capacity to be able to function in that area. So you have to build your mental ability to be able to think, to be able to analyze, and to be able to make decisions. So for you to jump from a business of $10,000 to a business of $1 million, you have to be able to increase your capacity to function at that level. You have to increase your knowledge to function at that level. You have to increase your potential to perform at that level. And so if you're a pastor and you're given a congregation of, 100 people, you're not gonna wake up overnight and have a congregation of 10,000 people from 100 to 10,000. No, you have to build the capacity to be able to function in that level. And that's why you grow with that concept. It just doesn't happen overnight. And you remember I said something from the beginning of this class, that everything you want to be, or every height you want to get to, let's say position, you want to become a leader of 10,000 people, you want to acquire wealth, you want to be in authority, you want to be relevant in the society. Every of those things that you want to do is built up in who you have to become to be able to function in that area. And in the process of building who you have to become to function in that area is building your capacity to be able to, be successful in that place. And so sometimes we just sit down like, oh, okay, how do people get there? How do people, in the military, there's a rank and structure. You start from the private. As a private, your responsibility is very minimal. And then you grow in rank. And then if you are an officer, you get to the point whereby you become a company officer where you can lead about, 400 people. And then you go become a battalion leader where you're leading thousands of people. Then you come to brigade leader when you are leading, 10,000s of people. And then you come to a division leader. And all of this have to do with years in service, years in grade, time in service, time in grade. Because they make sure that you are able to successfully perform at a particular level, and then you grow into another level. And all this growth has to do with your capacity to go from 0 level to 10 level to 20 level to 50 level. And as you are growing in your ability to think and process. When you have 2 people, you think and process in the level of those 2 people you are leading. When you have 10 people, your thinking pattern is going to be different. Now you have 10 thoughts pattern now. When you are leading 100 people, now you got to think about, okay, now I'm going to make decision for 100 people. It's different from when you make decision for 10 people. So as you grow, your capacity to be able to lead, to be able to control, to be able to manage also need to increase. That's what capacity is about. It's something you build. You build it by understanding and increasing your level, your mental ability to process, to think, to make decision, your mental stamina. At the same time, knowledge is, you acquire knowledge in that your field, your specific area, your field. And then also your potential ability to perform. You look at the gift that is inside of you that can accommodate that level in which you want to perform. So if you understand those things, you will discover that a lot of people, you will know what level you should be, producing. You will know the level of your productivity. Now, when you understand, okay, I know my specification, I know my futures, and then now I understand what my capacity is. So I should be able to, determine what is the level and the quality of the standard of the product of my life. Am I in a position based on my futures and my capacity to lead 100 people? Do I have that understanding? Do I have that mental stamina to be able to give direction to 100 people? Or do I have that mental stamina to be able to, start a business and then be the CEO for a company that is, bringing an income of $100,000? If I've not managed $10,000, how do I have the mental capacity to think and process things at the level of $100,000? If I've not managed $100,000, how will I be able to manage $1,000,000? So that's what capacity is about. It's all in every field and every area. And I'm going to go quickly. I'm going to specification versus capacity. Now, you cannot change or alter your specification. I want you to understand this very well. As a human being, you cannot change or alter your specification. You can only continue to build your capacity until it reaches the potential of your specification. And I already made this illustration. You as a human being, your futures is already established. But your potential, let's say your brain, can go into any level, can think and create and invent anything. But when the futures you have as a human being, maybe your blood vessels, maybe your ability to breathe, maybe your ability to do anything, if the body drops dead, everything that's functioning inside of you is gone. Don't even think about your capacity anymore. The same thing, I make the example of a vehicle. No matter how much the vehicle can do, can speed and can speed 1 million miles per hour. The moment the engine knocks, that's the end. Because that's where the specification is being built on. And why is this important? This is important because if you're beating up yourself and say, why can't I function in that area? Why can't I be successful in that area? Why can't I do what that other guy is able to do? You might want to verify, is it part of your design? Is it part of what God has built you to do? Because if it's not part of what God has placed you to do, you can't function in that area. You're just going to be wasting your time, focusing your power on something that is not going to generate anything. And when anytime you try to do something outside of a specification, you're going to abuse that thing and you're going to destroy that thing. The specification of a vehicle is to be driven on the road. When you want to drive a car into the ocean, you're going to destroy that car. When you want to drive a car into the ocean, you're going to destroy that car. Now, let me give you an example. You see the slide on the screen. That slide shows us two different vehicles that are designed two different ways. When you look at from the left of my screen, you will see those are the design for the Mack truck. It said it has 2,100 RPM. That's a revolution per minute. That's how much the engine can work fast as the engine can go. The crankshank are how we regulate. The fuel capacity is 80 to 100, gallons. That's the fuel capacity for that truck. And the maximum speed is 90 to 100 miles per hour. These are the features of this truck. And it can go on the toughest road condition and is used for long haul challenges. That means this vehicle can drag some mini, they call it here some, houses that some people live in, big, truck houses or something like that, mobile houses, mobile home. So this truck can drive a mobile home. But then down there, the second picture, you see the Ferrari there. And when you compare the Ferrari, look at the revolution, the RPM. That's how fast the engine is, 8,000 RPM, revolution per minute. Why this truck has 2,000 RPM? That tells you the speed and the functionality, design. Look at the difference. Even look at the weight. Look at the weight of this truck, 27,000 pounds. Look at the weight of this Ferrari, 3,000 pounds. Compare 27,000 pounds to 3,000 pounds. Look at the fuel capacity, 100 gallons for the truck. This guy has 22 gallons. It tells you that this, I could see my slides moving. I don't know what's moving my slide. All right, so look at this. Can you see this? The difference in this design. Maximum speed, 90 to 100 miles per hour. Look at the speed of this Ferrari, 200 miles per hour. That's the design. And the design is what drives the capabilities of this vehicle. So the Ferrari cannot function like the truck, and the truck cannot function like the Ferrari. They are two different designs. So if you're driving a truck one day and somebody driving Ferrari just passed you, and you begin to say, oh, okay, my truck can do the same thing that this Ferrari is doing. It's not, you don't have it. You don't have, you can't produce. They can't produce at the same level. They produce different things. That's the way we are designed as human beings. You have to understand your specification. You have to know your capability, and then you know what you can produce. That's exactly how we function. Your speed, your weight, your fuel capacity, your toughness, what you're made to do. So you have a specification. Don't just wake up one day and think you can do anything. I know for Christians, the Bible says you can do all things, but that's not, the Bible is not saying like you can fly or you can, live in the ocean or something like that. You can do all things within your own specification. You can do all things within how God designed you. You can do all things within the area of your calling, the area of your purpose, the area of your mandate. You can do all things in those areas. But if you want to do something that God has not designed you for, you're going to destroy. You're going to destroy yourself. So that's what this is all about. That's because sometimes you say, why am I producing to the maximum capacity that I'm supposed to produce? Well, because maybe you don't understand your specification. Maybe you are walking in the path that does not belong to you. Maybe you are putting your hands on what you're not supposed to be putting your hands on. Maybe you are not made to function in that area. Maybe you are doing a business that you don't even have business doing. There are people that are good in numbers. There are people that are good in words. You got to understand what area is it that how you're designed and how you're supposed to function. Now I'm going to talk about those principles that every one of us operate this principle every day. And you got to understand this. If you understand the principles that you operate daily, you will exactly know what's going on in your life. A lot of people like, well, let me tell you the first thing. Every day of our life, you operate this principle. It's called, every day you are creating and producing something, whether you know or not. Every single day of your life, when you wake up and that time starts ticking, you started to do something. I don't know. It doesn't matter what you're doing, but you are producing something each day. That's given. It's not really, even if you lay down on the bed, throughout the day. I'm telling you, you are producing something, but I can't tell you exactly what you're producing lying down on the bed. But for every day, your time is running. And as the time also is running, your own time is also running. You are producing something. Whatever you do, the second principle is whatever you are creating daily will lead either to a favorable or unfavorable end. Time is a revealer. You might not understand what you're doing today. You might not understand what you're doing tomorrow, but in the future, there's going to be a kind of a report sheet that's going to tell you why you are here today is because of the things you've been doing 10 years ago. Wherever you find yourself today is not because of what you did yesterday. Wherever you find yourself today is what you've been doing some 5, 10 years ago that brought you to where you are today. So every single day you're producing something consciously or unconsciously. The third thing is that every day you live in the atmosphere of what you believe. And that belief is what dictates your activities, and that's what gives the results. And what do I mean by that? So when you wake up in a day, there is something particular that you are doing that very day. That very thing that you're doing is based on your belief system. When somebody wake up in a day and they decide that they're going to go and rob somewhere, it's a belief system. It's something they believe. It might be an influence, but they live in the atmosphere of their belief. When you wake up in the day and say what you're going to do is you want to write, there's something you believe that prompts that you should write. When you wake up in the day, you say you're going to make a phone call. There's something that prompts that concept that you want to make a phone call. It's a belief system. You live in a belief system. Every one of us, we are trapped by our belief system. There are things you will not do because you don't believe in those things. So every single day you wake up, you are in the influence and the bubble of your belief system. And that belief system is what enhances your activities. And the activities is what determines your productivity per day. So you have to understand, what is the belief system that you are operating every day? There is something that you believe. When you wake up, there is something you do. When you wake up, there are places you want to go to. When you wake up, there are people you talk to in a day. Those things are motivated by your belief system. And that belief system, it's what drives your action. Okay, I'm going to go to market, or I'm going to sit down and pray, or I'm going to sit down and write a book. Your belief system is what activates your action. And your action is what determines your productivity in a day. So figure out what is your belief system that you're operating. And that's what determines how you're going to be productive in life. If you are restricted by your belief system, you cannot produce anything outside your belief system. Because the future that you don't believe and you can't conceive, you cannot have that future. And the last thing about this principle you operate daily is, if you are not consciously planning your life, you are unconsciously planning to fail. There are no two ways to it. It's either you're consciously planning your life and you know this is the next step, this is the next step, or you're like, I don't even have any plan. If you don't have any plan, unconsciously you are planning, but that plan is failure. It's not necessary you sit down and write it in a paper. If you're not doing anything, you're not thinking, you're not processing where your future is going, and you don't have rhythms, unconsciously you're planning. And that plan is just a failure. Because failure doesn't have a structure. Failure doesn't need it to be organized. Failure just walk in. So when you are waking up every single day and you don't have a structure, you don't have a plan, you don't have a passion, you don't have something that drives you, you are unconsciously planning to fail. And I want you to please take care of that, take note of that. I want you to, think about that very well, that you have to have a plan. You have to consciously engage your mind every day on where is your, the focus of your life. Where are you going to? What do you want to achieve in life? So this is this principle that I don't want to stay much on this principle. It's the four principle that you operate every day. Every day you're creating and producing something. That's number one. Number two, whatever you're creating daily will lead either to a favorable or an unfavorable end. Time is a revealer. You might not know today or tomorrow, but in the future, you will see the result of the seed that you are sowing today. If you are sowing sleep today, there is a reward for sleep. There is a fruit for sleep. There is if you're sowing prayer today, there's something you harvest about prayer. If you're sowing revelation or you're doing business, anything, every day you're creating something. And the third one is every day you live in the atmosphere of your belief. Your belief system is so crucial because you cannot succeed outside the influence of what you believe. You cannot. You cannot. I'll give an example. When you are, if you are living in a country where we have different kind of denominations, there are denominations that believe, oh, God doesn't like this. Those people don't excel in the area. Some people say God, to have money is, it's not what God wants. So you believe everything, but you don't believe in money. You see, the people is going to be poor because they live in that idea, in that ideology, and that ideology drives their activities, and the activities determine their products every day. So watch out. What is your belief system? What is it that guides you when you wake up every day? What's that bubble of ideology that you live in? Everyone's got one. And those things can be your trap. It can determine if you're going to be successful or determine if you're going to be a failure in life. And lastly, I say if you are not consciously planning your life, you are unconsciously planning to fail. Either way, you are planning every day of your life with whatever you do. Your action is part of your plan. I'm going to move on to the next slide. Now, I like this quote. It says, your life cannot change until you change something you do daily. And what the emphasis about this is the power that is in one day of your life, it's not to be ignored. One single day of your life, it's so important that when you create the right habits and you are being able to be successful in that day, that same principle that governed that day will apply to the rest of your life. But if you don't understand how to be successful in a day, you're going to have a lot of challenges struggling for the future. So learn how to become successful in a day. And I taught that in the first session yesterday. And actually, I repeated the same session yesterday evening. This is the most important day of your life, discovering the most important day of your life. Your day is a gift. The principle that governs the day is the principle that governs the rest of your life. You have to understand it's principle, it's key, it's not magic. When you see people that are in one height in life, they didn't get there because it's luck. It's not luck. It's a principle. So your life cannot change until you change something you do daily. You have to look at what do you do daily. And I talked about that too yesterday. Now, also, I want us to emphasize for you to understand what you do daily, all you need to do is evaluate your day. Think about it. Evaluate your day and ask yourself, what does my daily activities look like? What do I really do every day? I have 24 hours every day. What is the thing that I really do each day? And yesterday, when we're also talking, we talk about the rules of the 20-80 rules. That once you understand your unique ability, that's what I'm going to talk about tonight, conquering your day. And I'm going to talk about that at 5:30 p.m. tonight, conquering your day, how to conquer your day. Now, see, when you understand your unique ability, in one single day, you have to focus on that unique ability to give you the best, result that you want. There are so many things you can do, but they're not going to produce result for you. But you have to focus on one thing or two things in your life that will give you the best result for your life. And every day you have to focus on that. That's what I call cultivate your field. Cultivate your field. If you don't cultivate your field, it's going to be overgrown with weeds. And you discover that, well, you used to be able to do something before, but what happened now? But that very thing is exactly what's supposed to make room for you and bring you among great men. But you ignore it and it just become, useless. So you ask yourself every day, how is your day programmed? What are your routines? What are the things you do? And then not only to know what you do, but you want to ask yourself, are these things producing for me? Are these things generating the result that I desire in my life? If they're not generating the result, why do you want to waste your time following that routine? If they're not giving you the best life that you want, why do you want to keep going in the same routine again? That means you have to switch. If you can change your mind daily, you can change your results. If you can change your mind daily, you can change your results. Why do I say that? Because your mindset that produced yesterday results, if you bring the same mindset to today, it's going to produce the same result that it produced yesterday. But if you wake up in a day and you find out to be creative to change your mindset, then you can also change the patterns of the result that you get. Yesterday, we really talked about this, how a new mindset is going to generate a new result. A lot of people fight about the result that they're getting. Oh, why is this happening in my life? Why is this not working? No, it's not the result that you should fight with. It's the process that generate that result. That's the problem. So you got to trace your step back and say, how am I generating this same result? What can I change? What do I need to do? And I tell you, one of the first things you have to look at is your mindset. If you can change your mindset, you will change your result. And the last thing when you evaluate your life and your every day, you ask yourself, what is the focal point of your pursuit that drives your day? It's very important. What is the focal point of your pursuit that drives your day? Why? The why that makes your day that day. What's the purpose of that day? How is the purpose of that day and your purpose aligned together as a person? Why do I need to wake up from bed? What do I want to achieve? What am I running towards to? What am I running away from? Like Tony Robbins would say, he said, you're running away from pain and you are running to pleasure. So those two things, that's what motivate people's life. You're walking away from pain and walking into pleasure. So you want to eliminate things that create pain for you. If poverty creates pain in your life, you want to wake up and say, I got to get to work. I don't want to be poor. That's walking away from pain. And you walk into pleasure. I want to be successful. So you're finding the rhythm to become a success. So what is the focal point of your pursuit that drives your day? You have to ask yourself every single day. Those are how you evaluate your day. Your daily activities, your programmed, and your mind. Don't fight with your result. Fight with the process. Don't fight with your result. Fight with the process. Result is just a kind of an evidence to say, see, this is the process and the principle you've been living with. That's what your result is. But when you say, I'm not satisfied with this, you want to ask yourself, what do I need to do to change the process that produced this result? A lot of times, a lot of people fight with result. Result is not the problem. The process is what generates that result. And you're going to find how to, eliminate that. Now, I said the human biggest barrier is still the mind, which is true. Our mind is still our biggest barrier. Our mind. If you can have a creative mindset, you can change your result daily. If you're looking to become productive in your life, you want to change your mindset. That's where it's all started from. But if you don't know how to change your mindset, you're going to be stuck in one area of life and you're going to be producing the same result. You're going to be producing the same result. You have to learn how to change your mindset. And if you can change your mindset, then the result that you produce, you see, the emphasis is also much more about what is going on in your life every single day. And this is why it's important. Don't even bother that you are worried about your future. Don't be worried about your future. Be worried about what you are producing every day. Because it's the accumulation of the result you produce in a day that becomes what your future looks like. Don't worry about the future. The future is the reality that is going to happen. But you are going to be the one to determine how the reality will be. 2030 is already established. It's going to happen. It's in 10 years. We're all going to get there as the Lord lives. But the problem there is not the 2030. The future is established. But what the problem is, how do you become, or what are you going to become in that future? And for you to get there, to be able to become that thing, it starts with what you do today. Not what you're going to do tomorrow, what you do today. Today is the gift. If you cannot conquer today, you're still going to struggle with tomorrow. If you cannot conquer today, you're still going to struggle with tomorrow. But you have to sit there and say, what is the principle that is applicable for my success for today? Because if I can conquer today, I'm going to apply the same principle to tomorrow. And tomorrow is going to reproduce what's going to happen in the next 3 days. And next 3 days is going to reproduce what is going to happen next week. My future is then guaranteed. You don't have to fight with the future. Don't be bothered about the future. Be bothered about how to produce your maximum result each day of your life. And once you have that pattern set, once you have that system established, that system just regurgitates itself. It will do the same thing, will repeat itself. It's an habit you've created. You don't have to struggle. But a lot of people are really like, oh, what's the future is going to be? I'm praying about my future. I'm fasting about my future. Yeah, you can do that. But if you don't understand what is applicable to make your day successful, to make it productive, the principle that governs the day, which is also the principle that governs your life, the habit that you have established, those are the things you have to pay attention to. And once you have that right, I guarantee you is the same result that will produce in the future. It's not difficult. It's not difficult. That's how it's been set. It's a principle. Now, I'm always like rounding up right now, and I want to really talk about this. So, specification and choices. And I've been able to explain to us that if you understand your specification, you will know what your capabilities are, and then you will know the results you should be expecting. You know, when I'm talking about specification and choices, I want you to understand that, like, you cannot, there are some things that will not make you to excel, no matter what your specification is, no matter what your capabilities are. There are some things that will not make you to excel. There are some areas that if you don't understand what you're supposed to do, you will not excel in life. The first thing is when you lack understanding of what you are doing. When you lack the understanding of what you're doing, don't expect result outside of that area of your specification. It is impossible. Now, you know, like every seed cannot germinate on every ground. There are some seed that when you put them on the ground, it's not going to grow. There are seed that are made for a particular soil. So the same thing, your specification is made for some particular things. So you have to understand the area where you are supposed to excel in life. Don't go and start doing things in the area where you're not going to excel. You're going to destroy your specification. You're going to understand, you have to find the environment. Is it a spiritual environment? Is it a mental environment? Is it a physical environment that goes with your specification? That's where you're going to produce results. But when you lack understanding in your area of life, in your specification, in that very area, and you want to go and tabernacle or establish yourself in an area that you have nothing to do with, you're not going to excel in that area. Another problem with specification and choices is when you're making a choice based on zeal and you don't have knowledge. We are making a choice based on zeal. It's zeal without knowledge. You're not going to produce anything. No matter how good your specification is, no matter how great your capabilities can be, when you make decision based on zeal and you don't have the knowledge of what you're doing, you probably will start something and say, whoa, when I started, it was so nice. But you don't understand the end of that thing you started. You have not found out. You have not, been able to investigate it. And when you do it, something you're supposed to do for 10 years, you start for 3 months and you just stop. Because I don't know, it's not working anymore. Well, it's not going to work because you only have the zeal, but you don't have the knowledge, and you can't see if your specification fits with the choice that you are making. So you need to understand the design of your life. Does it fit into the decisions and the area you're venturing into? And the third thing is a deceptive pursuit. When you think, well, this thing is being successful, I can also start this thing. I can also do it. Everybody is doing it and it's being successful. That's what I call deceptive pursuit. I call it the chokehold. You get into an environment and you are being choked. Your specification, your design, your capabilities is being choked. It can't really succeed in that area. And people get into the field that doesn't belong to them. And they were like, well, just like student gets into university and they're supposed to be like, they have knowledge for words. And they say, well, I just want to be an engineer. and they don't have brain for calculation. It's not that it's impossible, but it also have to do with specification. If you're not designed to be a number person and you just want to say, well, I just want to be crunching numbers. You can crunch, you can learn it, but it doesn't mean you're going to excel like those people who are gifted in that area. So deceptive pursuits, when people just want to do something because people are really saying, oh, this is the in thing, this is what's making people successful. This is how it's a chokehold. You're going to put yourself in the middle of something that's going to choke you. And then what happened at the end of the day? Your design is going to be destroyed. Your capability is going to be destroyed. You will not be able to function. But the last one is the area of understanding of concept and principle. If you understand concept and principles, when you understand your specification, you look at this and everything aligned together, that's the area of your area of high impact. You understand your specification, you know your capabilities. Now you want to venture into something, you now have an understanding of the principle that works in that thing and how the concept functions. And you see, okay, based on my specification, based on how I'm formed, this is my area, and you get into that thing. Everything will align. That's where your area of high impact is. So you got to watch out for these four things: the lack of understanding. Don't expect result outside the area of your specification. It's going to be impossible. It's going to be impossible. You're not designed to do things. Don't do it. Zeal without knowledge. Don't start something because you just have faint idea and you don't even know if it's going to fit in, you're going to fit into it at the long run. And don't pursue things, deceptive pursuit. Everybody said this is working, but does this going to work for you? Are you designed for that thing? Don't do that. Don't do that. You're going to get into things, you're going to destroy your potential. You're going to destroy your desire. You're going to destroy who you're supposed to be as a person. So you got to watch out for. But when you understand the concept, this is how this thing works. And based on how I'm made, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is my area. Yeah, I can see this is my field because I know this based on these things. How I'm designed based on my capabilities. I will produce in this area. Now you know that that's the thing you have to pursue. And I want you to just understand this simple code. You say you have to strategically place yourself in an environment that creates avenue for the fit you need that will create the future you desire. It's just like a kind of a summary of what the last slide that I just talked about. It's like a summary of this. Now you have to strategically place yourself in an environment that creates avenue for the faith you need to create the future you desire. There are some things that you need to get to where you need to be, but you have to know what area those things are. It's a spiritual area, is a mental area, is a physical area. You don't just put yourself in any environment, just like you cannot drop seed in any soil. You have to understand, is this going to be the ground for this thing to grow? I remember the story in the Bible, talked the parable of the seed sower. Said there are some seed that will not grow on the wayside. There's some seed that will not grow among the rock, and some seed will not grow among the thorns. But there's a good ground. So this is what it's saying. Emphasize, strategically find your good ground and place yourself in that good ground. That good ground is going to create for you the nutrients you need, to be able to, create your own future. You can't excel in every field. You have to find out what your field is. And this is going to be my last slide, and I'm really going to summarize what I just talked about. So I want us to understand this, that your specification explain your purpose, which is your futures, right? And then at the same time, what I cannot produce, create, build, or make is not my purpose because I'm not designed for it. And I would like to tell you that specification is what brings function into purpose. Specification is what brings revelation into purpose, manifests exactly what your purpose is. When you understand your specification, you understand your purpose. When you know these things, nothing functions accurately outside its specification. Nothing functions accurately outside its specifications. If a car is made with a top speed of 200 miles per hour, it cannot get to 300 miles per hour. It's not going to do that because it doesn't have that. It's not made like that. Anything without the right specification will not maximize its function. If you don't have the right specification, you're not going to maximize your function. Now, when the specification is undetermined, you don't know what this thing is used for. You don't know what your life is meant for. You cannot also, capabilities is also undefined. If specification is undetermined, I don't know what I'm made for. I don't know what gift I have. I don't know what I'm called to do. You cannot realize what your capabilities are. And then you cannot be productive. That's it. You have to know your design. You have to know what area you're called to function. And that's why you're going to be productive. So productivity in life is unlikely until a function is well understood. Until you realize your purpose, you cannot be fully productive. You have to understand it, embrace it, and accommodate it, and then begin to work with it. So the specification explains your purpose. And I want you to understand that. So that's my just simple class for today. I have another class in the evening at 5:30 for those who are in this part of the world. And I know for people in Nigeria, it's going to be your night time. But I really want to thank everybody that's been part of this class today. It's I want to believe maybe you have picked one or two things that you really enjoy. I really want to tell you have been appreciated very well for the time you're spending here. Thank you for spending this time with me. And if you have a question, please, I wanted to, you can ask questions if you have a question. Do we have anybody who has a question? You can ask question if you have a question. Or you have something you really like, oh, okay, I just picked up this.